Hey everyone, Ryan Kennedy here. Welcome back to the show. Today's episode is inspired from a question I got from a listener and a question I get quite regularly about biohacking. What are my favorite biohacks? What are my top biohacks? And I don't love the word biohacking. It's become really, really popular. And, this concept of taking control of your biology by modifying your inputs in your environment, I totally agree with. I think there's a lot of merit to this concept that you do have control of your health, and you should understand that your health is in your hands. You can't just rely on, medicine, as great as it can be, modern medicine. It's really up to you. The daily actions that you take, the daily choices that you make will really determine your short and long-term well-being. But I am titling this episode BioHarmonizing because I like that word a lot more, simply because I think it's a little bit arrogant and short-sighted for humans to think we're going to hack our biology. Now humans have developed and innovated tremendous stuff, no doubt about it. And we have in some ways hacked our biology. But I'm more about how can we integrate our bodies in the way that Mother Nature intended to really optimize our cellular function and our overall health, and really work in synergy with the laws of nature, not against them. And while I'm all about supplements and different technologies and devices, and I use those myself, I think they're freaking awesome. Nothing beats the health optimizing activities provided to us for free by Mother Nature. So I'm going to go over a few of my favorite strategies for just enhancing your overall health, your longevity, your performance. And it really comes down to things that enhance electron flow. So the first thing on my list, anyone who's listened to me for any length of time knows I freaking love what I call sensible sun exposure. Full spectrum infrared light is absolutely stellar for your mitochondria. And your mitochondria is really at the foundation of your cellular function, which is at the foundation of your health and performance. And this photonic light exposure we get from the sun is truly next level. It beats out any red light panel biohackers are standing in front of that pay thousands of dollars for these stupid red light therapy devices that really don't come close to the benefits we get from the actual sunshine, which is free and right outside your window. Although there are a time and place to use the light therapy devices if you live in a cold climate, harsh winters, I get it. I recommend them to people in those situations as well. But if you can get it from the sun, screw the red light panel. Go outside. It's going to be a million times better. And I'm sure there's a lot of other things going on that we have yet to even comprehend when it comes to the magnitude of benefits we get from the sun. I've done whole episodes on this. I'm going to put my episode all about sensible sun exposure, the benefits, the practical applications, how to actually carry this out in the right way in the show notes so that you can go back and listen to that. But that's definitely first on the list is sun exposure, and then coupling that ideally with some grounding or earthing. I also did an episode on grounding and earthing. I'm going to put it in the show notes. But doing this the real deal way, guys, walking barefoot on the sand or on the dirt or on the grass. I am not convinced that these grounding pads that people buy, there's a bunch of companies selling grounding mats. And I used to own one. I threw it out. But I used to own one of these grounding mats where you plug it into the ground port on your electrical outlet. I'm not convinced it's a good idea. I'm going to be honest. I've just seen and heard from a lot of people I respect that the essentially dirty electricity that's flowing through the circuit board in your house can actually jump onto the ground and cause the grounding mats to be doing more harm than good. And then a lot of houses may not be grounded properly. I mean, there's a whole bunch of variables that I just don't think those grounding mats are the real deal. I'm like, go to the beach, go to the lake, go to the park, take off your shoes and walk barefoot outside in the sun. That's what I mean when I say grounding or earthing. And so that's going to be the optimal way. Again, I'll put an episode all about that in the show notes, some of the research about how it lowers inflammation, but really it's about enhancing this electron flow. And in addition to the sun exposure and the grounding, hydrating with good quality mineral rich water. The minerals in the water, things like magnesium, chloride, potassium, sodium, these electrolytes, they help to improve the electrical conductivity of our cellular firing. And this transfer of electrons that we're getting from the grounding and the sun exposure, it's amplifying those benefits. So I'm a huge fan of really quality filtered water or spring water if you have access to some, and then actually adding back in minerals, trace elements, electrolytes to really magnify the benefits that we get. So that's going to be high up on the list as well. All these things stack well together, guys. It's not like one thing is the end all be all. It's a combination of these things that is really going to provide you with the most benefit. Next up, after hydrating with good quality water, would just be hot and or cold exposure. Hopping in a sauna, one of my favorite things. There's a few things that make me feel like $1,000,000 the way that hot and cold and exercise and sun exposure. I mean, these things are just like beyond the longevity aspects, because I love longevity and this whole concept of improving our health span and living as many quality years as we can, because I think life is fucking incredible. And the longer I could be around and enjoy this human experience, the better. But it also comes down to the quality of life. Longevity is not very helpful if you're depressed and anxious and in chronic pain and not feeling well. So it's about feeling good first. And then once you feel good, then it's like, all right, how long can we feel good? Let's extend this thing. Let's extend this ride of this human experience as long as we can, because why wouldn't you? When life is good, it's like, I don't want to go anywhere else. I don't know what's after this. It could be even better, but I know this is pretty damn good. So I'm happy where I'm at. Now, back to the hot and cold exposure. Hopping in a sauna is fantastic. I love my infrared sauna. I use it just about every day. If you don't have a sauna and you're like, oh, that's good for you, Ron, but I don't have a sauna. Well, quit complaining and throw on some sweats and go for do some exercise outside. Like as long as you're sweating, you're going to receive a lot of these same benefits. Take a hot bath. There's a lot of ways to get the body, the core temp higher to activate some of these heat shock proteins without having some expensive sauna. And then the other thing is you could take in conjunction with the hot therapy, whether you do it right after or at different times of the day, is taking a cold shower or jumping in a cold plunge or jumping in a cold body of water, the ocean, a lake, a stream, a river. Getting yourself really cold is really, really good for you. Getting yourself really hot is really, really good for you. We're not meant to live in this temperature controlled 72-degree Fahrenheit environment 24/7. This creates this incredible adaptation. And just because of the spike in norepinephrine and other hormones, as well as other neurotransmitters and endorphins, God, you feel good after a nice hot, cold contrast therapy. So I'm a huge fan of that. And then moving on to the list, lots of daily movement, guys. Not necessarily CrossFit workouts, but more so low-level physical activity. Just walking around, moving around, minimizing the time you spend seated on your butt. That's huge. And the last thing I'll add to this list, because I want to keep it short and tight, I could probably tell you 50, 60 more things that would be epic for you to do. But last thing I'll add to this list of like my top foundational bioharmonizing activities is going to be breath work. I'm just more and more blown away by breath work. Using a combination of different breathing techniques. So I love holotropic breath work and long form breath work. I also like what I call energy activation breath work. It's about a 5-minute practice. And beyond even the breath work modalities, which I freaking love and think they're just immeasurably valuable, what's even more important is understanding proper breathing mechanics during the day. Just understanding the importance of slow nasal breathing, and that this chronic mouth breathing is so detrimental to your health and your nervous system and so many functions in your body. It's just decreasing the oxygenation, which is decreasing your cellular function, which is causing all sorts of problems. So just breathe through your freaking nose. During the day when you're awake, at night when you're sleeping, breathe in through your nose, slow down your breaths. You will have tremendous, tremendous benefit that's going to beat any supplement you could buy, any vitamin, any mineral, any antioxidant, herb, whatever. None of that comes close to breathing right, getting some sensible sun exposure, getting some grounding, drinking some good quality mineralized water, and doing some movement. Throw a little hot and cold in the equation and boom, you're going to feel like a whole new human in all the right ways. And I can't wait for you to apply these strategies because they are life-changing. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you found it helpful, please share it along to anyone else you believe it can serve. You can submit your own question to be answered on the show by going to ryankennedyhealth.com/podcast. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review for the show. Your feedback helps to support me on my mission to positively impact as many people as possible with this information. Please note, the information depicted in this episode is purely for informational purposes only. Please consult your healthcare professional before making any changes to your lifestyle or routine.